Good evening, everybody, and once again, welcome to Talking Sports with Ronnie and Johnny here on Drake Access TV. We are here for you every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 o'clock alongside of my co-host, Johnny Dakota. I'm Ronnie Perrin. Johnny, how you doing, my friend? We have a third wheel in here today. Why don't you introduce our third wheel?
This is the second audition.
Second, yes, that's right. Well, the first one was on
Tracy Mitchell
radio.
was last week. And then now we're bringing good personal friend of mine, Gary Morrison, who used to be a former semi-pro football player for the Lowell Nor'easters and coach of the Nor'easters, as well as the coach of the New Hampshire Wolfpack. Gary, welcome.
Pleasure to have you, Gary.
Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure
Gary,
to have
I want you to know that if you do well tonight, because in fact we're trying to find Ronnie's replacement.
He's secretly auditioning all these people because he's not fooling me, though, Gary, one bit.
The problem is it's trying to get Talking Sports with Ronnie and Johnny, and it's tough to get Talking Sports with somebody else and Johnny.
Yeah, I don't. Well, listen, to me,
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
You are.
Oh, absolutely. I'm all
Would
for
you
it.
come in as special guest
I
host
do,
once in a while?
just every once in a while, as long as I get the pay I'm getting. Remember the contract we just signed?
$218 million
Yeah.
contract.
Oh, beautiful.
Same
Huge.
thing as David
Beauty.
Price.
Yeah, the same one as David Price. We got the same thing.
Have you got that
Only to
check,
get
first
coffee.
check yet?
Well, that's another issue we have to
Go
talk
in
about
escrow.
later on. But.
Go in escrow.
All right, so anyways, first thing I want to kind of get into with you guys tonight is a little bit of Patriots talk, okay? Now, the Patriots won last week 30-17 over San Francisco.
I have to interject.
Anybody at this table impressed with that win at all?
We're 8-2.
Yeah.
8-2. And I'm not happy about this team.
Look, and I'm kind of feeling like the Oakland Raiders. Okay, you think the fans in Oakland Raiders are feeling the same way that we are here?
I know they're scared of us. I personally, if I was a Patriot, I wouldn't fear no team in the AFC at this point in time. I don't think it's like last year with Denver. Denver's not a juggernaut like they were last year.
Still defensively, though. Good defensively.
Oh, you're not going to. Very good defense, but no quarterback.
No quarterback.
But here's my fear, though, again, guys, and we talked about this before. Patriots need to have home field advantage. Okay, I'm sorry to say it, but you know what? I don't think if they go out to Denver. Now, again, we'll see what's going to happen in a couple of weeks.
Do you think our coach wants home field advantage?
Well,
some of these calls?
I don't know. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but some of the things that egotistical Bill has been doing lately just doesn't sit well with me. Egotistical Bill.
I like that.
He doesn't sit well with me right now. But the thing with me is we're going to see in a couple of weeks because we're going to go out to Denver and we're going to play Denver.
regular
Okay,
season
and
game
so
out
we'll
there.
see what happens. You're going to have to kind of play that game like it's a playoff game because the Patriots don't. At some point, that could be the game that decides whether or not they're going to end up at home field throughout the playoffs or not.
Right.
And as we've seen in the past, the Patriots don't play very well in Denver. Now, again, I'm talking Denver.
Right.
Okay, Gary, but you're still talking Oakland. That's still out there. And Oakland's got a tougher schedule coming up in the next because they're going to play a lot of their division rivals and they're going to kind of bang each other's heads.
As the experts say, if the season ended today,
Yes.
Oakland would have the
Home field advantage.
home field
With
advantage.
tiebreakers, correct.
And going
Tiebreakers.
down the stretches you just mentioned, much tougher teams on Oakland slate than on us.
Does Oakland impress
Three
you?
bums over here.
Does Oakland impress you?
Oakland impresses me on defense in the front seven. The back five, the DBs, not very much. Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
See,
Good
I
quarterback.
agree with you, Gary, because I think one of the things that they
See how I brought out
the
all
pundits-
this? Somebody knows what they're
I
talking
know,
about?
I like it. That's why you're doing well with these selections so
appreciate
far.
that.
Okay,
Thank you
All right,
very
We'll have
much.
the ballot box open after the end of the game, end of the show.
You're an idiot.
But here's the thing. I agree, and I think if the Patriots ended up playing Oakland, I don't care whether it's in Oakland or in Foxborough. I think first of all they would score way too many points. They'd kind of shred that defense.
Yes.
And I don't think it would matter much anyways. So again, I don't think Oakland scares me. The only team that and again, I said this last week, but I still kind of think this team is still a team to be reckoned with if they have to go to them and play them. And it's not Denver. It's Kansas City. And I know Kansas City
Really?
had a stinker.
Really?
Yeah,
Kansas
I do.
City?
You look at I'm just. It's just something about Kansas
know you
City.
got your hair cut today,
And I
but
know. Yes, I
everything
did.
all
I
right?
didn't have the brains taken out. But I know they lost. They put up a stinker against Tampa Bay last week.
Yeah.
But I still think there's something about that team. I don't listen again.
Alex Smith to
I'm
me
not.
has
I'm
that
not.
deer in the headlight
I'm
look
not.
like he just
I'm
does
not
not wanna be
advocating
there.
the fact that I think that the Patriots would lose to Kansas City. All I'm saying is I think they might. For me, it would be problematic.
This is where I agree with Gary.
To go on the road, still, I don't have any trepidation about going to Kansas City, stomping a mud hole in that booty, and then going onward from there.
And you're
No
probably right,
trepidation.
Gary. But for some
No
reason,
trepidation.
there's always that one team for me, just for me personally, and it's not Denver. For some reason this year, it's not going to be Denver for me. I don't think offensively.
I don't
want to
go there.
Yeah.
In the playoffs. I mean, obviously, this is a good test. 2 years in a row. We're going out there to Mile High. This year, hopefully, if you think about what happened last time, it was one faux pas in the special teams, and Gronk got nuked, and then that was that. And that kind of where the game turned. We were with him, and Osweiler was playing out of his mind then. Now, with Siemens Furniture. I don't know.
Siemens Sally.
The raw rookie into the crucible of playoff football, even at home. No trepidation about going out.
All right,
there.
before
I love.
Go
Let me
ahead,
bring up
Johnny.
one
Yeah,
thing.
sure.
And I thought it was a great statistic that on TV during the 49ers game is when Brady gets rid of the ball with 2.5 seconds or less, his completion rate is double than what it is over 2.5 seconds.
Gotcha.
So that's what scares me about an Oakland or a Denver is that, I mean, you're going to see 5 or 6 yard passes to Edelman, Amendola, Mitchell,
Hogan.
we'll
If
take
he's
it.
Gronkowski. I mean, just those guys. That's it. That's their game now.
You gotta draw them in. You gotta draw them in, soften them up, get them in zone, and then find a soft spot where you can get a 15-yard pass
Right.
off.
And then if you can do that, then you can open up Blount just a little bit more.
And it was good to see Dion Branch back too, and Dion Lewis back.
Lewis.
Last week. You know, and
He could still cut. Huh?
he still looked good.
They fixed
okay?
it.
He
They
did look
fixed
good.
it, yeah.
He did look good. Okay, so before we get into a little more of the Patriots, just a couple of things. One thing that egotistical Bill has done, at least for this team, over the last 16 seasons, which he's the only team in the NFL to do this, is by winning last week, they have now secured at least a 500 or better record in 16 straight
Winning
seasons.
record, right? Winning
record.
record?
Well, it's
Yeah.
at least 500.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've all been winning records, but it's been at least 500 or better.
Greatest thing about being a Patriots fan is you pretty much know 8 out of 10 times your team's going to line up, your team's going to win. It's going to be a happy celebration at the end of the game. We all know they have a knack for getting to the big game and sometimes stubbing their toes, but you look around and imagine, I don't even want to go all the way down to like the people in Cleveland.
Oh, we're spoiled here.
You know what I mean? That's the
when it comes
easiest
to
way to
football,
put it.
We're spoiled here.
That's the
okay?
easiest way to put it.
The expectation here every year is, and again, as long as Tom Brady's the quarterback, the expectation is you're going to be 13-3, 12-4. You're going to
Final
you're
Four
going to be the Final Four team.
Yep.
You know, and that's and again we are spoiled as
You know,
as
Gary
fans.
just
in
brought
New
up a good point. All right, here's Cleveland, haven't won a game, right? And then you take a look at other teams that are out there that are already out of it. You know, the Jacksonvilles, the
Jets.
Houstons, the Jets, Houston. I mean, these guys, they're all done. What does that say about the coaching in the NFL?
There are real good ones and there are real bad ones.
There are 32 teams. There's one guy who knows every single thing that all of those 32 teams do.
Yeah.
There are a few guys, like we've seen in the past few years, like the coach, Mike Pettine. I think he caught on with Cleveland. He was the last
That's right,
guy
that's
to
right,
get.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
talking about Cleveland. He worked his way up. He was a high school coach when they put him in the NFL silence. No coach wanted that job. He took it. He got paid. Now these coaches get paid,
Sure.
and now he's who knows where he is.
Right.
You can't tell me that guy had the level of knowledge it would take to successfully run a bum team. You know what I mean? If you get
Right.
it's right onto a good team, like if you're coaching waiting or whoever the next guy is going to take over the Patriots, I think Belichick's going to leave the cupboard with plenty of stock in it, so someone could be.
Well,
successful.
talking about that, Gary, talking about that, Johnny. Let me give you an example. I'll give you an example of what you're talking about. Okay, now it's obviously in the NFL it takes a good coach, okay, to bring your team to that level, okay, that you want. But it also takes a good general manager in order to do that too. Now,
Fact.
if you take, for instance, I'll give you an example. Let's talk about Theo Epstein, okay, out in Chicago, who just won the World Series. He had a plan. He came in and he had a 5-year plan, and in the first 2 years, that plan was garbage.
Tank it.
Okay, it was nothing. Okay, and then what he did was, after he started getting some of the pieces in there, and the pieces that he thought that were going to be enough to be able to advance him into the playoffs and possibly to a World Series, what does he go out and do? He hires probably one of the best managers in
Exactly.
baseball history. Okay, and that's the final piece. So when you're talking about these teams in Cleveland and you're talking about these Jacksonvilles, it's not just the coach per se that you have to. You have to get a good coach. You have to get a coach that is able to take your team and say, and Belichick is, like I said, egotistical Bill, but
I mean,
most of the players
right.
on the team, of course, I think, personally, I think Gary, he's losing the ship a little bit, okay? A little bit, I think we'll talk about that. It's bleeding a little bit, okay? Most of the times, you need to be able to have a coach that can, rally the troops around him, okay? But you got to have the troops around him in order to do that, and most of these teams, like in the NFL, like the Clevelands and the Jacksonvilles, they don't have that. For some reason, whoever's picking the groceries, as
Right,
ourselves
right.
used to say, they're not picking the right groceries. They're going to the wrong aisle, okay? And that's what happens. Because all it takes is for you,
Yeah, you know
with
what,
the salary cap the way it is, to pick that one person you think is a franchise person, and he doesn't, and in Cleveland, it's the quarterback
It
position.
happened with the Saints when they took Ricky Williams. You know, it's
You know,
happened.
I agree with you to a certain point, though, because then I look at a team like the Green Bay Packers, 4-6 now. Same coach, same general manager.
Injuries. They're hurt, though. They've had a lot of people. They've had a lot of people.
Couldn't
with
get around one of the wide receivers being out for a while.
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Teams just like turned around.
That's Marvin Lewis, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, Marvin Lewis eventually that ship was going to turn because Marvin Lewis is
because
proven
he's
he
had
just
good
can't-
players.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
Cincinnati.
And they
said-
love
again-
the guy. You know why they love him? They don't hit.
oh yeah, he's a yeah.
They, once the preseason's over, they don't do any hitting.
yeah.
Yeah, that's just.
All right, so
ridiculous.
let's get back to now. Tom Brady last week, okay, 4 touchdowns.
Were you impressed with the first half, both of you?
You know, I got that's.
I wasn't overly impressed or enthused by what was going on defensively. The offense, I thought, was rudimentary. They didn't. I didn't think they were trying to get too crazy. It looked like maybe one of those fake reverse kind of pass things they did for short yardage. I don't know how much stuff they were trying to put out there. Once the rain started coming down in buckets, that game just was minutia.
Well, here's the thing. It almost seemed to me like the Patriots were in a mode of, we know we're going to win this game. We're not really.
Exactly.
We're not really ever going to. San Francisco's never ever going to get the lead on us.
Right.
And it was 3 points for a while, and then after go to the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden it was bang bang touchdown, pretty much game's over. But you know what the thing is? To me, that's problematic. Now I know Brady had 4 touchdowns last week, and he was actually named the AFC Offensive Player of the Week.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, it's one of those things where you look at it and you go, really? Like there wasn't anybody else in the AFC that played any better than what he played.
Well, you
And
look
again,
around.
I know he had 4 touchdowns, but to me, it didn't seem like a regular Tom Brady type of
Some
game.
of the things that he did in the game, though, were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just like,
I mean,
know,
that
That
flip
pass,
that he
that
threw
pass to Mitchell
was
over the guy's
yeah.
helmet.
over the guy's helmet, yeah.
I mean, who throws
And the
that
flip
ball?
pass
Who
when he
throws
got out
that
of trouble
ball?
and he rolled just for a second and get
Okay,
touchdown.
let's get back to the defense, though, Ron.
Okay.
All right.
yeah,
Is
this
the Landon Roberts project already done? He played
Yeah,
11
we
plays
can't-
Sunday.
We can't. Okay,
played 11 plays, guys.
let's finally get into the crux of this. Okay, we're getting into the crux of this. We're going to go up at our 3 up and 3 down. We'll do it in a second. But let me ask this guy: Is Bill Belichick's ego finally getting the best of him with the things he's doing with Sheard, what he did with Collins? Okay. Now look, I know Bill Belichick has this philosophy that it's either my way or the highway.
My way or the highway,
But
obviously.
the bottom line is, look at the Collins situation. Regardless of what was going to happen, and we've talked about this on last week's show and previous shows, regardless of what was going to happen, the compensation was going to be the same whether he stayed or he didn't stay, okay? So why wouldn't you keep a guy like him on your defense? Maybe just go to him, try to discipline him some other way instead of exiling him to Cleveland.
All I can think about is that they cut him without cutting him, right? I mean, that's
Right.
Well, I mean, they cut him, but the compensation was the same if by
Exactly.
cutting him
Or what they got.
Or they got
It
what
wouldn't
they
make-
got.
wouldn't
But I
make a
mean,
difference.
he more than he didn't let him walk, and he didn't trade him. He sent him to like football exile. I mean, he
Right,
really.
but my point
really
is,
put it
my
to
point
it.
is-
Yeah, it's like-
my point is, Gary, is he's a talented player.
Yes,
Okay,
no
very
question.
talented player. So, is the fact that he's gone now, is that going to make the defense better or make the defense worse?
Well, it's,
For me, I think it's making the defense
quite
worse.
obvious. I mean, you take away
Okay.
that amount of production, the defense is going to get worse. Jabal Sheard,
Yeah.
60 plays, 30 plays, 16 plays, 10 plays.
No plays.
No plays.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously something was wrong.
Right.
If the guy had some kind of nagging injury that we don't know about, you're never going to get that stuff out of Foxborough unless you know somebody's mopping the floors down there.
When you see something like that, though, Gary, you think, okay, well, there's going to be some sort of injury people don't know.
Right.
About. Okay, yeah, but Friday night before when they went traveling to San Francisco,
He's at the
at
Celtics.
Celtics game
Right.
tweeting, hey guys,
So-
hey, sorry you guys are on the plane out there. This is where I'm at.
So it was obviously
So it was
something
almost like he's kind of sticking it to the. He was kind of sticking it to
Oh,
the
yeah, he
little
said, I'm not
bit,
going to stay
saying,
in my apartment.
There you go. Okay, so I think there's more to it than that. And again, it's going to remain to be seen
Right.
how
See,
Belichick handles
That's
it.
what I'd say to your question. It remains to be seen if this is going to catch up to him and bite him in the butt. Last year, he made a couple of moves that we talked about briefly, the drop kick in the Eagle game and
Yeah.
the shoddy game plan in the Dolphin game. It cost us home field, and you could say that might have cost us a trip to the Super Bowl. Having to go to
I think
Denver
so.
with that ragtag crew, couldn't get it done. Now, this year, he's decided to scale back the play of one of the best defensive linemen he has and just an exile, a
Yeah.
stud linebacker that he had for nothing and
Next to nothing, yeah.
has nothing to replace him with on the field. It's
Right.
It's perplexing, puzzling, and frustrating all at the same time because, as we always talk about with this guy, he keeps it in there like a steel trap. You never find out what's going on. The one day that his position coach is allowed to talk to the media, they're not giving you anything either.
No, they're
You know,
not.
don't you find it interesting here that the three of us are criticizing a team that is 8-2 right now?
Yeah, it's because
Well, that's because we're from
again,
here.
Yeah,
No,
that's
but
what
we do.
I get it. But
yeah.
if these guys were in
it's
the
not-
Super Bowl right now,
It's not all
I
sunshine
would
and
not.
rainbows over there in Foxborough,
I'm not.
you know.
Yeah.
I have total
There are
confidence.
issues.
I don't have total confidence in this team
I
going
don't
all the way. Not with that defense.
No, not
that
with that
secondary got lit up last Sunday by Colin
Like
Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
That's the difference.
Colin Kaepernick?
That's the difference between the Seattle loss and the San Francisco win. It's the guy calling plays.
Right.
I mean, if you had this same game in that same rain and we were up in Seattle playing the D we played this week here, would have been another L. Because he would
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch the game, there were guys running free, and Kaepernick was sailing the ball on him or hitting him in the
Yeah,
feet. and
you're
little
right.
happy
The
feet.
Absolutely.
linebackers could not catch the running backs.
Nope.
I mean, Hightower got burnt. Roberts got burnt. All the linebackers got burnt.
It was like a merry-go-round.
really
Everybody
was.
took a turn. but
Ninkovich got
guys,
burnt.
like you watch the game, say, "Oh my God, that guy's wide open." But then Kaepernick throws a bar over his head. So it's like, "Oh, thank God, we're playing a bum."
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to bring us to our 3 up and 3 down segment here, Johnny. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go up with our 3 up, the 3 players that we thought were the most impressive last week, and then we'll do our 3 down. And Gary, you can join along with us, obviously. Okay, if you can think of the 3 up and 3 down. Okay, so for me at number 3, okay, we'll go 3, 2, 1. Number 3 for me, and this is probably going to be a surprise to a lot of you, is Marcus Cannon. Marcus Cannon, for all the negativity and all the crap that he puts up with, has been pretty much a solid, steady guy for that offensive line this year.
You can say that about Trey Mason, too. He played
again,
pretty well.
True, all right. But Marcus Cannon last week played one hell of a game. As far as there was nothing that really, he just played a solid game. And for some reason, people they get on him constantly about his play. Now I know in the past he's had some issues, but this year I don't think I've seen. Maybe,
I want to hear from Gary.
a few
I
plays.
have my guy.
He's played.
Tell me
So
who
number
you
3.
think the best offensive lineman has been right now.
The best offensive lineman, I'm in between Andrews, the center,
Yeah.
Andrews has
and
played
Cannon.
well. Yeah.
See,
Cannon,
to
right.
me, it's Tooney.
Yeah.
He has been
Tooney's been
opening
all
up that. He's been opening up that hole for Blount all season. Blount's got all his right off the left tackle between
That's
the guard
true.
and the
That's
left
what they
tackle, and he has done a
Tooney's
hell of a
done-
job.
Tooney's done well. He's done
Third
well.
round pick. That's
Especially for a
what
rookie-
makes
for a rookie,
Bill
right?
Belichick a great coach. Who's going to pick a third round offensive guy from what was he? Tulane? Or where was he from?
I don't even know.
Well, knowing Bill was
He was in
either-
the South. He was
either
in the-
Bill, knowing Bill, it was either
Rutgers.
Rutgers
or Syracuse.
or Navy.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
So number 3 for me.
But you can say
Marcus
all
Cannon.
like we talk about Trey Mason. You
Yeah.
talk about Cannon, Dooney,
Yeah.
Andrews.
But you, but,
They-
but, you,
you know what?
but you can't give it all to Belichick. You got to give it to Skarnecki here too. Okay,
oh, yeah.
Skarnecki.
I don't know who was
Skarnecki.
making the phone calls getting back
Okay.
here, but
All right.
Boy, that's
that
true.
was a
How
great.
did-
That
how
was
did
a
he
great
come
idea. Great call. All right. They didn't waste any quarters on that one. Getting
Nope.
him back here.
Nope.
Okay.
I agree, I
so
agree.
you can see the difference between last year when he wasn't here and this year when he was here.
He's
All
starting
right,
to bring
so
some
number 3.
substance to the show, Ronnie. I'm impressed this
No,
week.
it's not. Please don't impress me. I know what you already tried. I know what you're doing behind the back. I got that knife in the back. All right. So, anyways, at number 2, for me, Malcolm Mitchell. Okay, Mitchell was
Malcolm Mitchell. Yeah.
good. Okay, they needed him to step up because Edelman wasn't having one of his better days. Still playing solid as he was, but they were that you know with
This
Gronk
is like
out,
what you
with
said.
Gronk out,
The guy had 98 yards.
with Gronk out, with Gronk out,
He 8 for 98. What do you want me to do?
with Gronk
And-
out.
and-
Listen,
yeah, but
who?
Brady missed him
Who?
3
Malcolm Mitchell?
times.
A million times.
Edelman
No,
missed him a
Edelman.
bit.
I know.
Missed him a bunch of times.
But what I'm saying is that Malcolm Mitchell had to step up because you had Gronkowski out. Okay, you get Martellus Bennett, who was supposed to be
He was
supposed
blocking.
to have a big game. They decided the scheme-wise they were going to keep him
Scheme-wise,
back.
yeah, I was gonna say, that's definitely not him.
All right,
Yeah.
so you had to have another guy step up. And again,
Yeah.
I get it. 17 targets, I get it to Edelman.
But
okay?
don't you think that was the plan to hold Bennett
Well,
back?
probably.
Make sure you can secure
But the
Brady.
problem is, it's
Can't
not
lose them
going
both.
to work
Right.
unless you have a guy like Mitchell step up and do the
Oh,
things
I
he did.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I agree.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
the point I'm trying to make. Okay, so he was number 2. Number 1, LeGarrette Blount. Okay, he ran hard, ran down
Yes,
hard,
sir.
all game long. Okay, they need. Look at you didn't know what you're going to get from Deion Lewis. Okay, nobody did.
True.
White had a very good game himself too. Okay, White was that guy that when Brady was in a little bit of trouble, which he wasn't mostly, it was dumped down to White, let him do what he's going to do.
He's
and
got
Lewis
that.
did what he
He's
did
got
too.
that fake block down and then spreads
Yeah,
out. You know,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
So the thing is, though, if you're a defensive team and you know that, okay, we know as a defensive coordinator, they've got a guy like White, and so they're going to use him a lot, not to run because he's not all that great a runner, but he can come out of the backfield, so we'll stop that. We'll try to stop that. Without Blunt running the way he's running, you're not opening up those other things.
That's true.
Okay? So Blunt was phenomenal as far as I was
He had a
concerned.
huge game. Had one called back too. Don't forget.
Exactly, he did.
But
And-
you know what?
I saw the play.
But he's given that to you all
The
year.
only reason why he got to the end zone was because of that hole.
Oh yeah, it was
He's
a hole.
given
It was
that to
a
you
hole.
all year, right?
Yeah. Well, oh yeah,
Blunt's
he's
run
been,
hard
he's been
all year.
solid all year.
How
He's
many,
been
12
solid.
TDs?
Plus I got him on
Yeah.
I got him on my fantasy football team too. So
That's the only reason
that
why
works
you
out too.
I guess.
That's why he's number 1.
12 TDs.
All right, so let's go 3 down. Okay, we'll go to 3 down. For me, number 3 is Jabal Sheard. Okay, you're gonna say to yourself, well, why that? Well, look at he's put himself in a position that
Right.
okay, they're not even considering him being on.
It'll be interesting to see
Okay.
what they consider this Sunday with Alan Branch.
Not even considering him playing
Now,
him.
what's the deal? Branch
So
can
when-
appeal, right? And he
Branch,
can still
Branch can appeal.
He has filed an appeal.
All right,
Branch has
so he
appealed,
can still play until.
unless again the appeal is heard on Friday.
Right.
And if it's heard on Friday and they deny it, which you know who again obviously
It's-
you know who does
you
the
know who
appeal.
does the appeals.
All right, so he could just as easily go, yep, just make the phone call and say, yeah, appeal denied, and now he's not playing. For
So
4
does
games.
Sheard play if
Okay.
Branch is out?
All right, so yeah,
That would
so-
be an interesting call.
Okay, so Jabal Sheard was my number 3. Okay, number 2 for me was Goskowski. Again,
It's in his head.
okay, another extra point. Now look, I'm only saying that because he missed an extra point. Do I still
Yeah.
think he's a fantastic
Oh,
field goal kicker?
I
and
think
probably
he's
one
the
of the
best
top
kicker in the
5.
league.
Okay, top 3, I would say yes. Adam Vinatieri is number 1. He's money. He never misses.
I know that
Okay.
Gostkowski hit like what 480 in a row.
Yeah.
And I want to. I don't
The
know, but
little
what
extra
I
points.
need to dig into though
Yeah.
is how many of those were these long ones. Like how many of these long ones did he hit in a row before he kicked the cat?
Right.
'Cause
Okay.
it's
So
just
so that's going to be on my next point when we get into it. But like I said, for him, you can't miss extra points. I'm sorry. It's just I don't care what it is. You got to make those. Now again, what it's going to do is, and again, they had 13. They had a record this week
Record,
of
yeah.
13 that
Miss
around
missed
the league.
around the league.
Some
Missed
teams
cats.
missing 2.
They said
Some
they
teams
said
missing
they
multiple.
said that hadn't happened since the
Unbelievable.
60s.
Nope.
Now again, I thought about that when they said that, and I was like, okay, well, there was actually 13 regular extra points. Now these are the
Now,
old
this-
extra points
This is back
Right, right.
10
that were missed
yards,
in one
right?
game.
10 yards back.
I mean,
No,
one
2.
year.
You put it 2 and you kick it from the 9.
Yeah.
and they're missing.
It's a 19-yard field goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pressure
Oh,
man. Pressure.
No, it's more than that because.
Oh, now it's a 33-yard.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
now.
Now,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Now it is. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
So
back
for,
then it was
so
a,
for
back then it was a
12
19
extra
yard field goal.
yards.
Yeah.
yeah.
But you know what's here with Gostkowski? Everything seems to be going like this.
Well, everything he's
Go
pushing
to the right.
everything. The ones he's missing.
Go to
Okay.
the right.
But again, for me, look at we started the Super Bowl. All right, or in the
AFC
Championship game. And
That was
and
huge.
again,
That was a huge point.
my feeling at the time was, and when people were really on him about that because of the miss, when it happened in the game, okay, and even though it doesn't matter, there's still that point that
Right.
at the end of the game.
It is
was-
important though.
But when
Right,
it happened in the
right.
game, wasn't as important as the fact that it was missed. Okay, but again, they could have made it up down the road, down the thing for 2-pointers. But so what's going to happen with all these mixed extra points? And we're going to talk about that in a second. Is you're going to start seeing the coaches just going, you know what? I'm going to go for 2.
2 for 2.
Because if you go 1 for 2 in a 2-point conversion, it's the
same
same
thing.
as going
Right.
same going for 2 for 2 and an extra point.
Right.
Okay, so that was number 2. And my number 1, and Johnny, you're going to love this.
Go ahead, let me hit me.
The
with it.
defensive line, okay, the pass rush, particularly the pass rush,
who?
okay?
The what?
Exactly.
The non-existent pass rush that continues. And if this continues, I hate to say this, but that's going to be the Achilles heel of the Patriots when it comes playoff time against some of these teams.
I would say just about any good NFL quarterback worth his salt, what they hate is pressure on their feet, pressure right at him. Even with Brady, he's the best guy to ever stand back there. Pressure at his feet, pressure right at him. And the second thing is when you surround him, when you squeeze the pocket. That's what we're not getting done. Now, I think Chris Long, for a guy who I feel like we pulled off the scrap heap,
Yeah.
is having a pretty decent year. Now, a
Absolutely.
lot of people, when they watch a game, are like, go get him, go get him. He's got a specific job that he's got to do. And if he gets too aggressive inside,
Right.
they'll go right around him.
He's gonna
Now,
secure
doing
the
a
edge.
great job of
Securing the
setting the edge, holding the edge, and keeping his strong arm out there so that he doesn't get run around. But what happens with him, as with anybody who's aging will tell you, he has lost a step. So now once he's got that edge set and he sees it's pass and he knows he can pin his ears back and go get the guy, he's just not getting there.
Yeah, right.
And we sent another guy down the road. We sent the Spice boy there. What's his name? I already Chandler.
Oh, yeah,
Chandler,
yeah,
Chandler Jones. We sent him down. We sent him down the road. So
Better week.
You know, the one,
Better week.
the one
All right.
that you don't hear about,
Yeah.
and he hasn't made a lot of plays, as in previous years, Rob Ninkovich.
Ninkovich, yeah. So
He's
that's what I was getting
he's
to.
coming
It's a
back
guy-
too from
Now,
his
you'll
little
always used to
hiatus.
see him coming
It's
around
gonna
the
take-
air.
It may take him a couple of extra weeks to get back into the full.
I mean,
full
he had a
step
bad
again, but-
injury, the tricep there.
Right.
But I
All
mean,
All right, so
tricep.
hold your thoughts right now, because on the line right now we have our man Ray, our UMass Lowell guru. Ray is on the. Ray, are you there, my friend?
I'm here, guys.
Ray, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Listen,
Ray.
You got 2 weeks to make up. Go.
Well, we missed a couple weeks ago where they split with Maine, and guys, I was hoping that they were going to sweep that series, but they didn't. They really laid an egg on Friday up there in Maine. Came out slow, gave up a shorthanded goal at the end of the first period. They never recovered from that. Came back and bounced back on Sunday with a good win and kind of switched everything around, shots on goal. And then last week against Notre Dame, played their best game of the year by far on Thursday night. Just an unbelievable performance. They really could have won that game, 6-7-1. But and then Notre Dame, very good team, came back on Friday night and kind of turned the tables. The shots on goal were 35-22 on Thursday for Lowell, 34-23 for Notre Dame on Friday. Just didn't really have the commitment and the dedication that Notre Dame did on that Friday night game. And so, you had two splits there. But all in all, not a bad weekend out there. I think I had texted Ronnie and said I'm really frightened of that weekend out there in Notre Dame. So, with the split, not bad.
I would have thought it would have went the other way, Ray, to tell you the truth.
Well, so hey Ray, they're doing Splitsville again. Like we had talked about the Splitsville thing with the teams, and again Notre Dame's not in the same category as a lesser team, but we talked about the fact that when they start playing the BUs and the BCs, it's games like when they're playing against, and I'm not going to put Notre Dame again, but these lesser teams that they can't be splitting. They really need to be sweeping, and it doesn't seem to be happening a lot. So is that a concern for you?
It is. There's no doubt about it, and especially with this weekend they're off, but next week against Connecticut, I don't know if you remember, guys, but Connecticut swept them last year right before the break, and it really gave them a kick in the shins, and it set them back pair-wise and everything else. And as it turned out, in the end, it didn't really make much of a difference, but you got to take care of the lesser teams. And that Maine game up there, they just got off the bus and they weren't ready to play. The Notre Dame series. Notre Dame is a very good hockey
Yeah,
team,
they are.
and they're going to be at the door at the end of the season. So I was really afraid that they might get swept out there, Ronnie. So I think that split I'm okay with. But you're right, and up when Connecticut comes to town and we go down there next weekend, you got to take those two games because the schedule just keeps getting harder. And luckily, Lowell had stayed away from some injuries. Folan is out. Of course, Lowell and that whole organization is like the Patriots. You can't find out what the heck's going on with them, but it's almost like you need to hire a private eye. He is going to be back. He's got a knee injury, but that's all I know. But we need him back, and we need to stay away from some of the injuries to that key offensive top line.
All right, Ray, give me one guy that you think needs to really start stepping up his game that you thought would be a little better than he is, and he really needs to step up his game.
Well, let's see. I would probably say that, I guess Campbell, again. Campbell, we've kind of been on his back the last couple of years, and he is a draft pick of Edmonton. He doesn't really produce a lot of points. I'd like to see him score some more points. They've turned him into almost like a Selke-type forward, and he's doing a good job. He does play against some of the top offensive lines for these other teams. But I think as a draft pick, Edmonton saw something at some point, guys. So, I'd like to see him, start to get on the score sheet. I think he helped. They have a very balanced attack, but I like to see him as a draft pick be on the score sheet a little bit more, guys.
All right, Ray, always a pleasure, my friend. I want you to know that we appreciate you calling in every week, giving us your insights. Have a nice Thanksgiving to you and your family, my friend.
Hey, you two guys, it's really a pleasure to listen.
We'll see you next week. Give us a call anyways. We'll talk about, I don't know, hockey.
We'll
or
talk
hockey
about
system.
something. I'll call it.
All right,
You got it.
Ray,
We'll
take
see
care.
you next
Happy
week.
Thanksgiving, guys.
Thanks,
Happy
Ray.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. That's UMass Lowell man, Ray Keefe.
You know
He
what,
brings
I'm
it
not
to the
worried
table.
for
He
you.
knows what
I'm
he's
not
doing.
worried too much right now about them for another couple of weeks. By then, everything should be in place and cement lines, that type of thing. Then we'll see what kind of team
All
they
right.
really are at this point.
Go ahead.
I want to get back to one team, Gary.
Which
and
one?
What your thoughts are? Because that's one team that scares me all the time. Is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I knew you were going to say that.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
You got a Roethlisberger in your
I'm a
pants.
Roethlisberger fan. He plays well against the New England Patriots.
He plays well. He's cold weather tested, so obviously you know we're in the same region. If we go there or if they come here, it really doesn't make much difference. The team's got a great scheme that they've had the same coaching staff in effect for a long
Exactly.
time.
Yep.
Goes back to what we were speaking about earlier about coaching and players, and you know those guys will all die for Tomlin. He's a good player coach, but same once again, I think coming down the stretch, Pittsburgh's going to fall by the wayside. I don't think they're going to be there at the end for us. So.
I mean, if you look at the standings right now, Gary, and I agree.
You
with
want to
Ron, I agree. I give what
Roethlisberger, and again, I think he's an elite quarterback, but not, not in the Brady thing.
I'd put him top
I'm not
10.
sa- But I'm
I'd
gonna,
say top
right,
10.
okay, I agree.
But like this is a big game. Like Indianapolis against Pittsburgh, they're both 5 and 5.
But you remember now, Luck's not going to play.
Pittsburgh
Luck's
doesn't
out.
win. If
Luck's
Luck's
got a
out.
concussion.
Pittsburgh doesn't win this
Okay.
game, it's a wrap. 'cause they
Okay,
have
but
the
here's my thing.
But like you said though,
I'm gonna tell you who
Kansas
scares
City,
me on that
Denver,
team.
Kansas City, Denver, and Oakland.
Besides Antonio Brown, I'm going to tell you, because Antonio Brown scares everybody. It doesn't matter. He can go off for 300 yards, okay?
Right,
But
right.
you got to get him the ball, number one.
Right.
Le'Veon Bell is the guy on that team.
Le'Veon Bell.
Is
Great
the guy
back,
on that
great
team.
back.
And you got to remember something now. When the Patriots have had problems in the playoffs, it's always been about a guy who can gash him in the line,
Right.
gash him in the line, gash him in the line. And Le'Veon Bell is that type of player, okay? He don't mind getting his head smashed
No,
in the
he'll
thing,
keep coming.
okay? All right, and he'll keep coming. And he's a great receiver out of the backfield. So that's the type of guy who would scare me. So, but again, I agree with you, Gary. I think they're going to have a hard time. If they don't win this week, it's pretty much
Oh, yeah,
lights
it's-
out. But they're going to get fortunate because Luck's not playing.
Luck's not playing, correct.
Okay, so that's
I
not
don't,
going to
I
bode
don't know
well
who
for
backs up Luck. I don't know if they're going to.
Tolzien or Tolzien.
Because I agree with you. Between Oakland, Denver, and Kansas
two
City,
snaps in 3 years.
those three teams are going to just knock each other up. They haven't played each other just once, maybe. So you're going to have one, maybe two teams coming. You're not going to get that.
I don't know
third
if
team coming
Pittsburgh.
out.
I don't know if Pittsburgh has another game against Cincinnati. They always kill each other.
Right,
Or
it's
if they have another game against the Ravens, they always bash the living heck out of each other. So I mean, which is good for us. I mean,
I just see Pittsburgh coming out of there with a wild card. Yeah, I
Maybe.
really do.
I mean, again, they're going to have to. What's their record for?
5 and 5.
5 and 5. Okay, they got a lot of teams ahead of them right now, though. That's the
Long
one
way
thing.
to
They got
go.
to
Oh,
win
they
the
do.
division, and it's going to be, they one game behind the division.
At this point, they're 5 and 5. They're tied with Baltimore
At 5 and 5.
at 5 and 5.
So I mean, that's one of those divisions where they could win the division at 8 and 8 or 9 and 7.
No,
That's
it's
the way
so
that's
good.
going.
you give them 4 wins, it makes them 9-7.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah,
So you're right, though. I think you know what. It's going to be interesting. It really is going to be interesting to see where all this stuff shakes out. Now, look, the Patriots are playing the Jets this week, and again, when you look at that, doesn't bring fear into your lives when you say that. But they just have trouble with the Jets, especially down there.
Division game on the road. It's
Okay?
Fitzpatrick
It's
always Fitzpatrick always plays well.
And that's another key. They decided.
Why
we're
not?
gonna
Let's
let's put Fitzpatrick in there, and it ain't because he's a real good quarterback. It's because he plays well against the Patriots.
No question.
Okay, always plays well. For some reason, he's Montana-like against the Patriots. I don't know why, but it's like that situation with a lot of different teams and a lot of different things. Guys play well against certain teams. They step up a little more, and he seems to be the guy.
We keep on talking about the defense and how where we are from the linebacker. No rush, linebackers on passing downs, suspect. And you know what? Beside Malcolm Butler, nobody's really lighting a fire for me right now.
The problem is these guys are. To me, it seems like they're regressing.
Yeah.
And they're all so very young. This shouldn't be happening.
Well, I think
McCourty.
again, Gary.
Logan
I hate to hop on.
McCourty.
I hate to hop on it again, guys. But look you know what? If you don't have a pass rush, it makes all the rest of your parts on that defense
Oh, of course.
look lousy. Okay, you got to remember as each game wears on, these players are wearing down. Okay, they're not as quick as they were in game 1 as they are going to be in game 12 or game 13 or game 14.
Well,
they're
my
wearing
criticism
down.
is coming from games 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
I mean, when the season first started, I'm looking for Logan Ryan to become a star.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like from what we've been watching over the few years, it's like, what happened?
Yeah.
Now you're down to Eric Rowe.
And some guy Van Noy. I mean, like
Yeah,
these guys
just
running
get-
around my TV. I feel like I'm 90 years old. 'Cause I'm like, who is that?
Yeah.
But you say, well, they got to figure it out.
Yeah,
Well,
they really have
they
to.
are what they are right now.
It is what it is.
You're not going to have some guy I mean, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, and Larry Bird not coming through that door.
Right.
Tom
You
Lutz
know?
not coming through
So
that
again,
door.
it harkens back to us saying, and I got it right here, is this team good enough to win the Super Bowl as it exists right now
As it
defensively?
exists right now.
Defensively. If they matched up against Seattle again right now in the Super Bowl, would you say who would you give the edge to?
Like right now?
Right now.
I
As
think-
it constitutes right now.
I think the
who would
score
you-
is going to be
because
42 to
look at
40.
it, we're basically saying we don't think the defense is going to
Yeah,
get any
no,
better. The pass rush is not going to get any better.
But the offense isn't gonna get any worse either, so
right,
That's
but,
right, that's
all
right,
But
that's right.
we've already seen. Okay, and I know it came down to one play at
Yeah.
in the thing again, like the Super Bowl did.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
But are you confident enough to say that you'll just beat Seattle?
No,
With
not
this defense?
just beat them. Neutral side, we'd have to play better.
I
than we
think-
played them the last time, and I think
Okay.
they would have to coach better than they did in that Seattle game.
Yeah, I agree.
That was I don't.
But the
even-
score is going to be 42 to
Okay.
40.
Oh yeah, you take the over on that one all day long.
But who else in the NFC would you be?
I was just going to tell you. You're saying Seattle. I'm saying Dallas.
There you go.
I'm saying America's
Listen,
team
I was gonna
versus
bring-
the Patriots.
I'm glad you brought it up, Gary, because I was going to bring
They
it
are
up. I was
playing
going to bring it up to you.
some
Look at
damn good football.
they-
Great
look at
football.
forget about the AFC.
Right.
Okay, forget about the AFC.
Because we're gonna wrap
Because
that up anyway.
We probably will. I mean, more
Yeah.
likely than not, we're going to end up with the home field advantage. We're going to run through the AFC, but then. Are you confident enough that you think right now they could beat, or even, and again,
And that's-
defense being the way it is,
It being the way it
they're
is.
going to beat Dallas?
And a home game.
They're gonna beat
It'd be a
Seattle?
home game for Dallas if they make it because it's in
Absolutely.
Houston.
Right.
That's right. it's
And
Houston.
these guys are so young; they don't know what they can't do. And they don't know
So
what they don't know. They've
again,
won
as
8
New
games in a row.
Gary, as New England fans, and you know it, we're Super Bowl or bust.
Exactly.
If we don't win the Super Bowl, it's been a bad year.
been a
for us.
bad year.
It's been a bad year. Okay, that's how spoiled we are as New England fans. You take Cleveland, they would sit there and say, "Listen, if we make it to the Super Bowl, we don't care if we lose 1,000 to nothing. We made it to the Super Bowl."
Well, we're a
They
little bit
would just
more
do it.
urgent here now.
Well,
Don't forget, the hourglass on Tom Brady is.
Oh, yeah,
Well, of
he's-
course.
you know,
Well,
it's-
no, not according to Tom Brady. He's going to be around until he's
Oh, yeah.
45. So we've got
Yeah, but-
we've
I
got
thought
at least
the same
another
thing.
6 years. You know,
Did,
so.
you ever, did your heart
Yeah, I know
sink
what
though
you're
on his knee when they went after
Well,
his knee the other
again,
game?
The
Exactly.
championship window is,
Exactly.
is you know, it's you
Sure
know,
it is.
was-
I agree. I'm
it's
just being
going
facetious,
down.
but I agree.
Yeah, we-
I mean, you may only have 1 or 2 more years of this,
Right.
Exactly.
okay? And then it's going to be
Exactly.
Pittsburgh-like,
And even
Yeah.
okay? Then it might be
the
Pittsburgh-like.
second wheel. I mean,
or
Gronk,
Baltimore-like.
His his go-to guy is Binky Gronk. He's not indestructible. I mean, he's.
I mean, when they said-
formidable force.
There was a rumor going around that, I mean, they want to tie up Bennett for a long time. So what does
Right.
that say to you?
they know,
They know Gronkowski's.
yeah, they know he's not long for it.
He's not long. The guy has taken a
but
lot
you're
of
right. He's
lot of
taken a
hits.
It's a lot of shots.
You
lot
know?
of shots.
That shot he took last week, though, was
Whoa.
ferocious.
He said it. He said it's the hottest
Ferocious.
he's ever been hit playing
Ferocious.
football. But
All
a good clean hit though.
Right, absolutely, no
give
question.
props.
That's
They
finally-
all
it's finally
all
good
say
to
it.
see.
Absolutely.
Gotta give
All
props
right,
to
so
the guy who hit him.
lastly before we get this, because we don't have a ton of time, but I want to get into something else after this. And I want to talk about concussion and stuff because there's been a little. Obviously, that's a big touchy subject in the NFL and the protocol and blah blah blah. I was going to get into refereeing, the bad refereeing, but you know what? It's like
never gonna go away.
it's like beating a dead horse because it's always going to be the same thing. All right, but the last thing I wanted to ask you guys about, we talked about this earlier, is with the extra points, okay, being changed back to 15 yards. Do you like that or don't you like that in the NFL?
I like the way it is now.
I like it the way it is. It
Yeah.
gives some something to watch.
Plus, what it's doing is it's really telling you, well, the good kickers and the bad kickers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
it's
thins the
giving you
herd.
an idea. Okay, it's giving you a really good idea about who's a real good kicker and who's not. Adam Vinatieri, for all that people used to say, and he was, he's on his way out. He's on his way out. He's on his way out.
He's the greatest kicker
I
of
mean,
all time.
Automatic
he
Adam.
hasn't- I don't think he's mad. I don't think he's missed this year.
He
Has
did. He
missed?
did finally actually.
Oh,
miss
did he miss one?
Yeah, they put the Maloki on him.
Okay,
Like,
all
He
right.
hasn't missed one in
All right.
42. It's
All right. So,
inside.
anyways,
Yeah.
let's
He's missed
talk.
one, though.
Let's get into this concussion stuff. Okay. Now again, I all I hear about is this protocol. There's a protocol. Okay. There's a protocol. There's this.
Yunk.
Now, being a former player, I mean,
Right.
Gary,
Go ahead,
when you
Troy.
get dinged out there,
Yeah, I mean
That's what we used to call it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I can remember the first time I got one, probably in Pop Warner. You just the whole vision narrows, everything goes black, and then you see kind of stars.
Little squigglies.
Yeah, people tell you you're going the wrong way. This and that.
Yeah.
You get off the field, you shake it off, you get some water, and you go back and do it again. But nobody knew
How times have changed,
how
Gary.
is
How
all that
times
up
have
now?
changed.
You got they call him the neurological consultant. I know the U is like for unaffiliated. The unaffiliated
Right.
neurological consultant, the young. So he's watching a screen
Yes.
right on the side of the field.
He's in the press box.
And he's watching everything. Oh, he's actually on the field.
Oh, he's in the field now?
Yeah. He sees everything. You may be right. The guy in the press box hits a buzzer.
Exactly.
And then the doctor.
The guy,
will
the
say,
doctor,
"Listen,
yes.
number 14 just got hit in the side of the head. He looks a little woozy. You got to get him out. And the teams have no say in this. This game is stopped. The doctor goes on the field, and then they start asking the questions.
Yeah. They call this guy the eye in the
Who
sky.
are you? Batman.
Yeah, they call the guy in the press box the eye in the sky. He's a
understand,
certified athletic trainer that sits in the stadium box.
That's it.
okay, and then he's looking around, he sees what's
calls
going
down
on.
to the young.
So here's my thing now. Again, and I'm not like there are hits where the guy gets hit, bang bang, helmet to helmet, and you know when the guy gets up or he doesn't get up and he's looking like this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you know he's got something going on.
Exactly.
Okay?
That Kuechly hit. That
Yes.
He didn't look like he got hit that bad. Yet.
Right.
No, I think.
But I think what happened with him is his past was
yeah, he had some bad stuff
Yeah.
last year, and
Yeah.
he's got like one of them soft eggshell heads, man.
yeah. So
there are guys out there like Ironhead Hayward, and there are guys out there who are like Mark Kelso, the guy from the Bills who used to wear the big the Gazoo helmet.
Yeah.
I mean, and I felt bad for Luke Kuechly because he was going through it, man. He could tell his faculties weren't about him. He was sobbing uncontrollably, like somebody just told him his dog had died.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and like you said, I thought that he had done something to his knee.
Yeah.
It's the way his knee bent. And these guys, these players, you can tell, you know when you've done some serious damage to your leg and on ACL or
Right.
or a medial collateral MCL, and you can see the way there's a certain way they hold it, and they just know it's over. You know what I mean? And you'll see like it happened with the non-contact hit with Welker that time when he was he was on the side, and you just knew it was done. So I saw him crying like that. I figured, oh, maybe it must have been his knee, but then they showed it back over, and it's like, well, they put him in the protocols as a concussion. Like,
Yeah.
wow, that's scary because he had
So again, is
No idea
is
what
it
it
good
was.
for the NFL or bad for the NFL the way they're going about this? Because and the reason why I'm asking you that, Gary, I'm going to ask you specifically
Sure.
is because if you look at what a concussion, okay, what the NFL considers the symptoms for a concussion, okay, and I wrote down all of them, but some of them I think have to do with as the
these-
play happens.
But are these
and
from
then
the
I think
are these from the NFL?
yes,
from
it's
like
concussions in the
a doctor?
NFL. Okay,
Oh,
this is what they consider the NFL considers.
Well, that's
okay,
why
and
you gotta
and
consider your source.
Roger
That's-
Goodell, the good bar. Okay, that's all that is. Doesn't make a
Okay.
difference what anybody else says.
I'm curious.
It's what he thinks. Okay, all right. So the way this, and some of these are probably right as it happens, and then there's probably some that happen after the after protocol that they look at when they finally bring them into the locker room and they go, okay, now let's take a secondary look.
They put you in the dock room.
Okay, all right. So the first one is imbalance. Okay, so a guy gets hit, he comes up, he starts, wobbling a little bit. Okay, they go, okay, this is sign number one. Okay, then the headache. Now a headache, who's going to know a guy has a headache? I'm guessing when they bring him inside and they look at him, or when they bring him to the side and they say, how's your head? Yeah, it's killing me. Okay, all right. Confusion. They say confusion. Obviously, somebody gets their bell rung. Is playing all your years you play. You kind of look around. You go, yeah, where am I? Okay.
You walk
all
around
right.
the sideline,
Memory
so-
loss. Okay, is another one that they say is big. Okay, is the memory loss. Where are you? I don't know.
But
My
like
mother-
you just
baking
said,
cookies in my
like
mother's
you just
kitchen.
said, though,
Right,
Rob,
okay.
like you just said,
Yeah.
is the NFL worried about this?
Um,
you know,
You know what?
I have-
They're being forced to be more worried about
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
Okay,
the
because the
talent,
lawsuits that they're going to
the
be.
talent is going to be diluted because
Well-
mom and dad, I'm going to be letting
Well,
little Johnny
that's-
go out
that's-
there and Pop Warner and start.
That's
hitting
part of it
head
too.
to head.
That's another point that we could get into. Is the fact that it's going all the way back to the Pop Warner thing now, where they actually did studies where they had these helmets for the last couple of years, and kids that were supposedly, hit helmet to helmet, and then they did testing on the kids and stuff, and they said 3 years later, yeah, there was some damage back
some
there.
damage, right?
Okay, so
What
there was
is your
possible
take?
damage.
What is your take on that?
My take on this now, they have this thing called heads-up football, where they
Yes.
train the kids from a very young age to not bang heads, is to get on the side. To not. It used to be when I was taught, see what you hit, bow your neck. So you'd come in, you'd come straight
Right.
ahead, and you'd bow your neck back. That would supposedly protect you from getting your neck broken. If the only times I've ever seen any real serious damage to someone's neck is they come in and they put their head down, and that does the cervical damage. A couple three.
Well, one of the things, Gary, is that's interesting is, and again, I've never played as extensively as you have, but I play Pop Warner, and I know some of the coaches, when they used to coach us, they never used to tell us anything about hitting somebody in the head. They always used to tell you to watch the waist.
The waist, yeah, so
because,
you don't get
because
shot.
Right, because where the waist went, the player had to go. They
Exactly.
can do their head, they can move their head, whatever they want, they move their shoulders, but where the waist went, that's where they went. That's how I
Exactly.
used to
If you-
tackle.
if you-
And what you do is you go for the waist, and you tackled on the side of that. They used to tell you to tackle on the side, but for some reason now, it's like all you
hit and
should
wrap,
see
hit and
way
wrap, hit and
every
wrap.
hit
It's
and
hit and wrap.
I can't tell you at what point it changed, but
Yeah.
I mean, my helmet was to protect my good looks. You know what I'm saying, people? Listen,
Right, yeah.
If I didn't wear a helmet, I could have come out like one of these two or something. To protect these good looks is all that helmet did. 6'4", 6'5", I'm taller than most other people. I never threw my head in a pile like that because it shouldn't seem very responsible.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, these people turned their helmets into gun sights, and they're just boom, and they're going right for the head. Because, if you kill the head, the body will fall. And that's been taught over and over and over. A lot more down south in the football factories than it is up here, where we tend to use our brains a little more than those people. So, there's that too.
Yeah, I hold your thoughts because my favorite part of the program is about to begin for you. This is where.
Let me
remember
tell you
last week-
something.
wait a
Let me
minute,
tell you
hold on,
something.
no,
Every
listen.
week you
I
tell
have
me
to-
this is the last
listen,
time, John.
I know
well,
what this
there has
is.
to
I
be-
know what this is.
there has
I
to
love
be-
this part.
There has to be at least one, okay? But remember
Run it.
last week when you gloated at the beginning of the show when you said
Yeah.
about the pass rush thing?
Yeah.
My turn, okay? On the line right now, we have our man Rob Bethune, our NASCAR guru. Rob, how you doing, my friend?
Good evening. I don't know if I'm still the guru.
Listen, I don't want nobody to say anything for the next. I don't want nobody to say anything for the next 20 seconds.
think there's a
Matter of
new
fact, we'll
sheriff
make it-
in town.
Matter of fact, Rob, we'll make it 10. Okay? Who is now considered the new NASCAR guru? Who told you months ago who was going to win the NASCAR chase?
I got to give it to you. Ronnie
Say
Perrin
it.
called
Nope,
it.
I want to hear it. Say it.
Ronnie Perrin called
That's
it. He's the
correct.
new-
Ronnie
the new
Perrin
guru.
said Jimmy Johnson would be the winner of the NASCAR chase months ago. And why did I say it? Because the fix was in. And I told you that from 2 months ago.
I quit.
You also said they were going to put toll booths.
I
That never
actually
happened.
quit.
What's that?
You also said they were going to put toll booths.
I can get the last part. We were going to what?
You said they were going to put toll booths.
Oh no, that's coming.
That's
We're gonna
coming.
get the toll booths in there.
Okay.
Eventually there'll be
hate
toll
this.
booths
I
on the
hate
track.
this.
So that the people
NASCAR.
that
Good NASCAR talk.
yeah,
Am I going the right way?
yeah.
Right.
All right. So let me ask you a question. What was overtime all about?
Oh, that was one I don't know.
Oh, there was a bad crash at the end there.
What is overtime? I never explain to me how there's overtime in NASCAR.
That's when the cars go backwards around the track.
Because from what I heard, Jimmy Johnson won in overtime.
It was. It's just that the race is just extended. There was a crash.
Yep.
So the pace car comes out once
Okay.
the race starts going again. The pace car comes out, so it goes over the allotted number of laps. So it's overtime. It's called overtime.
Okay. So
Shoot me now.
let me ask you a question again.
Shoot me.
If that was overtime, right?
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson did he actually win the event, or just because he was positioned best?
No, he won it. He
ended
won
up
it
winning
outright.
overtime.
It was extra laps.
I still don't know what overtime is.
Yeah, extension.
Is
In
it a-
other words, extended.
It's just
But you know,
It was
there's-
extended play.
There's no clock in a race.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it was extra laps.
goes by
Did they go
laps.
extra
It goes by
laps?
laps.
So there was no yellow flag that could win that race.
No, it was. He won it legit. It wasn't
Can I raise up a white flag? How does this all work?
Well, with overtime, at the end of the race, the
Yeah.
pace car comes out and they do a few laps around the race.
Few
Yeah.
laps.
And
Run a few
those
laps.
laps count.
Okay.
So after 300 laps, now you're into overtime.
All right. Even I've had enough of it.
Rob, what
All
happened
right,
to
Rob,
Rob? What happened to Joey Logano?
I love that name.
He got pinched off at the end there by Carl Edwards. Wasn't good.
Oh, so
He-
your
he
guy
won that
pinched
race.
off. So your guy pinched off his guy, hence making my guy the winner.
There you go.
I like
That's
it.
what happened.
I like it.
And we have no Bush either.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, what?
I don't know.
What do you say?
All right, Rob.
Hey, Ronnie.
Yes.
Congratulations to your son, by the way.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate
First
that.
round
Yes.
knockout Saturday night.
Yes, he did. He knocked out his opponent in the first round of his MMA fight Saturday night. Thank you. All right, Rob. Look, always a pleasure to hear from you. Have a
Same here,
nice
fellas.
Have a nice Thanksgiving to you and your
Happy
family.
Thanksgiving.
Listen, next week I want you to call back at the same time because you're going to be our new hockey expert.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Rob,
Take
don't
care,
you
boys.
call.
Talk to you next week,
All
buddy.
right, see ya.
We'll see you.
Happy
Bye-bye
Thanksgiving.
now.
We're going outside, me and you.
Well, we're gonna have to anyways. We're gonna go 2 doors
Oh, yeah,
down.
that's what we do.
Yeah.
You buy me a beer.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, let's get back to this now, real quick. 2012, there were 261 concussions diagnosed in the
Diagnosed.
NFL.
Say, make sure you say diagnosed.
Diagnosed, okay?
Yeah.
2013, there were 229, so it went down. Okay?
Wait a minute.
Yep. 2013, 229. Even gets better. 2014, there were only 206. Okay? 2015, last year, it went from 206 to 271. Now, I'm going to tell you, I did a little, you know how you tell you about doing research?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the doctor, Will Smith played him in the concussion, okay?
The African guy.
Abuku or something, Dr.
Something like
Abuku,
that, yeah.
okay? All right? This is went around from 2012 to 2013, 2014 is when he was actively talking about CTE, okay? And the NFL was,
Not trying to hear us.
so what happened is, in 2012, when he came out, and he talked about the fact that the NFL and the hitting was causing CTE. They had already done a study, and they said 261. Well, the following year, what the NFL decided to do was, for the next 2 years, was fudge the figures.
Sure.
Okay, as far as
Right,
I'm concerned.
I heard that.
Okay, because what they did was they went to him and pretty much because they knew it was going to be a big money. Okay, so what they do is they go down and they say, well, hey, wait a minute now. Okay, this really can't be as bad as you're saying because we only had 229, and this year in 2014 we've only had 206. So when they finally realized that the frauds that the NFL were, and they realized that CTE was a real concern in the NFL. Boom,
Listen,
there you go,
listen,
271,
the average-
271.
the
The
average
largest,
player's
the
life-
most concussions.
The average time
In the
to play
NFL.
football in the NFL is 3.5 years.
I think it's much less than that. I think it's 2.5.
Depends
So
on
you
your-
think
depends on
about
your
that.
position.
Think about it.
Yeah,
Depends on the position.
Well, they all lump it in. I mean, if you
Yeah.
go,
If you take your
running
quarterbacks
back,
and the running
backs 2
backs,
years.
yeah.
I mean,
It does-
quarterback's 10.
It
but-
just doesn't make sense that if you start playing when you're, let's say, 10 years old,
Yeah.
and for 10 to 12 years into college, you're practicing every day, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
And and me and Ronnie are really good friends with Mickey Wood, as you know.
Yes.
And Mickey says, back then, all his concussions were while he was sparring.
Right.
Right, because he probably didn't wear.
Yeah.
protective-
Next day you just come back just like you did.
Yeah,
The next day you
go
come
right-
back,
go right back, yeah.
shake your head a few times. But like he's going to be giving his brain to
Oh, God.
to Boston.
Oh, God.
But how many players? I mean, each and every year you're seeing the CTE. Now the poor kid Turner.
Yeah.
I mean, 40 something
Yeah,
years old.
it's-
I mean, come on, Kevin
And,
Turner.
and they thought it was ALS. And
They all thought that was all AS.
it's
You know,
more- it's more
even in
than-
that movie.
Yes.
You know, all those Pittsburgh Steelers. You know,
Yeah, that's where they.
ALS. Come on.
The button jerk, that was the move. Headbutt him and jerk him out of the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, again,
So other than the South, Ronnie,
yeah.
is football really gaining popularity? I mean, listen, we know the Texas, Alabamas, Mississippi,
Florida,
Tennessees,
That's
Florida.
all. That's just haven.
It's
It's a
exactly
haven for high school and college football.
But you know what? It'll always be popular.
Yes.
But is the popularity waning in other states, Northeast,
Well-
Northwest, because you're hearing about the CTE and everything?
I think
and
that,
we'll,
again,
and
we-
we'll
we-
eventually get to the NFL.
We discussed
where
that. We discussed that last week when we had the
I agree.
list of the and concussions was one of the top ones that they had talked about.
Listen,
But there's a lot of other things that are stopping the popularity of football, and football is flags, the refereeing, the extent of the game, the length of the game, the commercials during the game. I mean, there's probably a bunch of things.
See, I don't
but-
think that
but see, but-
contributes to the
yeah,
to that. at
well,
all.
fantasy football. Okay, again, we talked about this last week. Where
That adds to it.
fantasy football, nobody watches a game for 3 hours anymore. They're on the red zone.
Yep.
Okay,
Gotta love
I do
that
the same.
red
I'm not
zone.
gonna lie, I
That
do the
is
same
good
thing.
stuff.
Greatest invention ever.
Even when the Patriots are on, okay, anytime there's a commercial, boom, right
Boom,
to
right
red
there,
zone.
yeah, exactly.
If the Patriots aren't on, it's all red zone, and maybe go to a game real quick for something. But see, so that's happening too. And again, I think like we spoke about last week, they tried to get the younger kids to get involved. They're trying to get the younger crowd involved in this. Okay, and again, you're talking about a generation of kids that don't have the what's the mindset to watch something for 3 hours.
Oh no, they don't have
Okay,
attention span.
there you go. That's the word I'm looking
It's
for.
an-
They
it's-
don't have the
it's-
attention
it's
span.
an instant generation.
Okay?
They want
All
it
right, they
now.
don't have it.
Instant
So
gratification.
they're not, so what they
You
did
know what
was,
that is for you.
Well, yeah, that's my coffee.
How you been?
So the thing is though, the kids, like I said, the red zone. So what they did was fantasy football came about, and they really thought that the fantasy football was going to draw the kids in, okay, to watch the football games. Well, what they did was they bit their own, foot off by creating the red zone. Because now the kids are like, oh, this is great. I play kids that don't even know, a touchdown from a
What do you
from
think
a,
the future
from a
of
field
football?
goal.
What do you think the future of football is?
I think the future's bright. I mean, you have the technology to make better helmets, and than to assuage the fears of parents that their kids are going to end up in a wheelchair.
But they thought they did that too, Gary. Though they, I mean, how much more?
We survived soccer.
How much more padding can you put into a football helmet, or how much bigger can you do it besides this? Before they start leaning?
It's about
you know?
different materials more than the size of the thing. I mean,
Yeah.
there are great advances being made.
take
That's a
that
fact.
impact.
Yeah.
And you start to trickle down the theory that you don't have to hit things with your head, and
Right.
the helmet just protects your face. Or what you do is you dial the clock all the way back to the 40s and pull the helmets right off.
I'm telling you, I watched, it was last Saturday afternoon. I had never seriously watched it for more than 2 minutes. Rugby. It was at Chicago Stadium.
Yeah.
The place was jammed. packed.
Yeah.
Rugby,
No helmets.
no helmets.
Very
These-
hard hitting.
These guys are crazy.
Yeah. But you know, you had to understand too, though, that concussions are not just helmet to helmet, you know.
Well, yeah, when you hit
You
the
have to
ground.
understand, you hit the ground.
Oh,
I mean,
sure,
somebody hits the
sure,
ground,
yeah.
jerks their head back, hits their head. They're
A
gonna
lot
get
of times
concussion.
quarterbacks get banged out from
Okay.
that whiplash effect.
Exactly.
And you know what? They had a lot of that with the old turf. Now with the new turf, it's waned a little bit.
Yeah. So again, you know, a big concern. You know, obviously, like you said, it's the trickle down effect. Okay. We got a couple of minutes, but Gary, I want to ask you something really quick about college football.
Sure.
Okay, but that was meant me and ask us. You like the playoff system?
I do.
Do you like the way that they determine the playoff system?
I don't.
Okay, that's the question I really wanted to ask you, because I got to tell you, I don't understand how Michigan is still in
Right,
the top four after they got beat.
By who's it?
I don't. It wasn't a ranked team. I
No,
don't
it
believe.
wasn't.
it wasn't ranked.
It was a bad. It's an impossibility.
Right, exactly.
Now you got a game. It's 1 versus 3 or 2 versus 3.
2 versus 3. Ohio State,
Michigan
Michigan.
and Ohio State.
Right.
A big game. Now whoever loses this game
Is out.
Is out.
is out.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
That's why I'm more of a fan of when it comes to NCAA championships. I love college basketball. It's like Duke just lost the other day.
Sure.
So one loss is going to affect them at all. They'll be in the tournament. They'll have a shot.
Right.
You can lose 6 times, get in the tournament, have a shot.
Absolutely.
College football. Nowadays, college football. If you're a mid-major, Boise State, those kind of teams, 1 loss, done.
Gone.
If you're a huge team, like University of Texas,
Alabama,
Nebraska, UCLA, the big-time teams that are playing the big-time games.
Yeah.
2 losses,
Right.
you're done.
Right. Let me tell you.
Yeah, but shouldn't it be kind of more of a? Shouldn't those Southern Conference SEC
SEC,
conference?
yeah.
ACC,
Shouldn't they
SEC.
play themselves more rather than going to play Appalachian State?
Well, here's the thing. Because you're a big time. You're a big
big
time.
money for that.
You're a big time. Right.
I get it.
Okay.
That's it.
Exactly.
You're right.
Well, you know, now last week, and I'll give you an example. Okay. Alabama's ranked number 1. Okay. They played Chattanooga last week. Chattanooga.
Right.
Okay. All right. It's like
You
playing
quarterbacked
Lowell,
that
like
team.
playing Lowell High.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
They beat them 31-3. Now, under normal circumstances, beating a Chattanooga 31-3 is like a loss to Alabama because they should beat
Exactly.
them 100-3. Now, if Alabama was ranked 5th, say they were 5th instead of 1st, and they're playing Chattanooga,
They would have went down on the.
you can bet your butt that they would have went to the coach, Alabama's coach would have went to Chattanooga's coach and said, hey, sorry about what we're going to do to you. We're
gonna beat you 70 to nothing."
But we're going to score 100 points on you today.
Exactly,
Okay?
exactly.
So, and again, that's the thing. That's the issues I have. Okay, it's like, you know what?
They don't get it. College
There's
football
some-
don't
look
get
at
it.
I liked the expansion of the way it was because I didn't like the polls
Right.
talking about who
Yeah,
was going to be number 1 and so I like the playoff thing, but expand it.
Right.
Okay,
I just-
expand it.
I just feel like
make it a 16 team
You gotta get into
playoff.
So we're talking about the kids losing time in school, and me personally, I know that the big time schools are football factories. These guys aren't going to school to be doctors; they're going to school to try to make it to the NFL. So pull them out of school, finish the classes, and like you just said, Ronnie, let's just make 16 teams.
Absolutely.
That way, nobody can
You
complain.
never have it all about not
You know
being in
what
the
I'm
playoff.
saying? You're always going
Okay?
to have the guy who's like, "Oh, I was the 17th team." Well, play harder next year. The 16 teams, here's your shot.
Right. Listen, eliminate 3/4 of these bowl games that they have, which are just nobody watches them
I tell
anyways.
you,
They're-
there's
they're-
75 bowl games.
Yeah,
Bowl
so
week,
anyways,
bowl
all right.
this, bowl that.
Well, listen, that's
Gary's
it.
been a
That's
pleasure.
it. That's
Yeah,
it,
man.
kid.
I love
That's
it.
Again,
Unbelievable.
you know
We'll
what I
have
mean?
you back on,
Just like
Gary.
that. We'll have you again, Gary.
That's it.
Okay. Listen, a pleasure, my friend. Listen, have a great
TV,
Thanksgiving to you and
TV
your
added
family.
50 pounds.
Yeah, it does actually add 25 to me. All right, guys, have a great holiday, Johnny, my friend.
Yes. You too,
bud.
Okay, we'll see you guys next
Turkey
week.
Day.
Gary, open invitation anytime you like, my
I
friend.
appreciate it.
You got it. All right.
Happy
Once again, you're
Thanksgiving,
listening to-
everybody.
You're watching Talking Sports with Ronnie and Johnny here on Drake Access TV. Everybody have a great holiday. We'll see you next week.